Have you ever noticed how one person can quietly take over your inner world? Not loudly, not dramatically, but subtly, persistently, almost invisibly. You wake up in the morning, before your body even fully arrives in the day, and their name crosses your mind, uninvited, unannounced. You go to sleep at night, your eyes closed, the room silent, and somehow their face appears behind your eyelids as if it never learned how to leave. You don't sit down and decide to think about them. You don't invite the memory in. It just happens. You tell yourself to move on. You distract yourself with work, with music, with conversations, with motion. You fill your days so there is no space left. And yet, in the quiet moments, in the pauses between thoughts, they return. And eventually, a question forms that is heavier than the memory itself. Why can't I stop thinking about them? Is this love? Is it attachment? Is it obsession? Or is something far more fundamental happening inside the human mind? Psychology offers a different answer than romance does. It tells us that when a person becomes a habit in your thoughts, it is not random, it is not weakness, and it is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is your mind trying to resolve an unfinished emotional story. Because thinking is not just remembering. Thinking is the brain's way of seeking balance. And when the mind cannot find balance in the present, it turns back to the past again and again, not because it wants to stay there, but because it is still searching for meaning. When someone becomes a recurring presence in your thoughts, three profound processes begin to unfold inside your brain and nervous system. Not symbolically, not metaphorically, biologically, psychologically, existentially. 1. Your thoughts begin to reshape your perception of them. In neuroscience, there is a concept known as repetition priming. At its core, it is simple. Every time a thought is repeated, the neural pathway that carries that thought becomes stronger. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Imagine walking across a field of tall grass. The first time, the grass bends slightly. The second time, a faint path appears. The 100th time, a trail forms clear, automatic, undeniable. Your thoughts work the same way. Every time you think about the same person, your brain is not merely recalling them. It is reinforcing their position inside your mental landscape. They do not grow closer to you in reality. They grow larger in perception. Your brain marks them as emotionally relevant. This is why their name seems to appear everywhere. Their favorite song suddenly follows you. Faces that vaguely resemble theirs catch your attention. Random moments trigger an unexpected emotional reaction. It feels mystical. It feels like fate. It feels meaningful. But what is actually happening is far more precise. Your brain contains a filtering mechanism called the reticular activating system. Its job is to decide what deserves your attention and what does not. The world is overwhelming. Your brain cannot process everything. So it asks one simple question: what matters right now? When you emotionally bookmark someone, the reticular activating system adjusts your perception accordingly. It begins pulling everything connected to that person's sounds, visuals, memories, dreams into conscious awareness. Not because the universe is sending messages, but because your biology is trying to understand something unresolved. The brain hates open loops. It despises stories without endings. And until you emotionally understand what that connection meant, what role it played, what lesson it carried, your thoughts will continue returning to it, trying to rewrite a story that never fully concluded. So when you catch yourself lost in thought about someone, do not scold your mind. It is not failing you. It is working exactly as it was designed to. 2. Your emotions begin to mirror what your mind focuses on. The human brain contains specialized cells known as mirror neurons. These neurons activate not only when you perform an action, but when you observe someone else performing it. They are the foundation of empathy, the reason you can feel another person's joy, fear, or pain, as if it were your own. Here is where things become profound. When you think deeply about someone, your brain does not treat that memory as distant or symbolic. It replays the emotional experience associated with them. The same neural circuits activate. The same physiological responses occur. This is why your chest tightens when you remember a conflict. Your body relaxes when you recall a moment of safety. Warmth spreads through you when you remember being understood. Your body does not clearly distinguish between a thought and a lived moment. From a neurological perspective, emotional memory is not passive. It is experiential. Psychologists call this emotional mirroring, a process in which your current emotional state synchronizes with the emotional tone of a remembered interaction. If the connection once made you feel safe, thinking about them can still calm you. If it was filled with uncertainty, longing, or fear, those same emotions quietly return. This emotional echo does not stay confined to memory. It spills into behavior. You check your phone more often. You feel restless without knowing why. Your attention drifts. You daydream. Not because something external is pulling you, but because your brain is recreating an emotional environment that once felt familiar. Your emotions do not simply remember people. They remember patterns. They remember what it felt like to be seen, to be dismissed, to be chosen, to be ignored. And when that person's image resurfaces, your emotional brain runs the same script again. Understanding this changes everything. You may not be able to stop memories from appearing, but you can choose how to interpret them. Not as commands, not as signs, but as information. 3. Your brain begins rearranging reality to find closure. When a connection ends abruptly or without clarity, the mind enters a state. Psychologists call the Zeigarnik effect the tendency to fixate on incomplete experiences. This is why conversations replay in your head, why you imagine alternative endings, why what if becomes louder than what is. The brain is not romantic. It is systematic. It wants resolution. And when resolution is absent, it searches for it everywhere. Songs. It's sense, chance encounters, coincidences. It feels like meaning is chasing you. But what is really happening is cognitive resona, your brain aligning perception to reduce emotional dissonance. It is reorganizing memory fragments, trying to make sense of something that once felt senseless. This is why moving on feels so difficult. Not because you are attached, but because your brain must rebuild its predictive map of reality without someone who once occupied a central role. Each time you remember them, that old map briefly reactivates. The past enters the present. But here is the turning point. You can participate consciously in this process. Instead of chasing signs, recognize each memory as your mind saying, there is something here that needs integration. Closure does not always come from conversation. Sometimes, silence itself is the answer. How to gently step out of the loop. The first step is not resistance. It is awareness. When the thought appears, pause, breathe, and say quietly, I'm thinking of them because a part of me still needs healing. This is not self-criticism. It is metacognition, the ability to observe your own thoughts. Research shows that this simple shift reduces emotional rumination. You stop being trapped inside the loop. You become the witness. Next, practice cognitive reframing. Instead of saying, I miss them, say, I miss the way I felt when I believed I was understood. This separates the person from the lesson, because what we usually long for is not the individual. It is the feeling they awakened. Connection, belonging, recognition, I love. And once you identify that deeper need, you can begin meeting it in new ways through creativity, reflection, or relationships that honor who you are now. You can even visualize release. Close your eyes. Imagine placing that person in a bright room. Say silently, I send you peace. I release you to your journey as I walk mine. You are not erasing them. You are untying the invisible knot that held your growth still. And with time, the emotional intensity fades. Not because you forget, but because you understand. 3 truths to remember. Your thoughts do not reach their subconscious. They reshape your perception. Your emotions do not mirror theirs. They mirror what still lives inside you. Destiny is not rearranging itself. Your brain is seeking closure where your heart has not yet found peace. Thinking deeply about someone does not make you weak. It makes you human. It is the mind remembering what once mattered and slowly learning what still does. So when their face appears again, smile gently, breathe, and let the thought pass, not as an obsession, but as evidence of how far you have come. Because in the end, the person you cannot stop thinking about is often the one who taught you how to feel, and eventually, how to let go. The mind does not just remember people, it remembers lessons, and awareness is where healing begins.